And we're trying to figure out, okay, what is this and why are people calling it a potential, you know, game changer for Web3 adoption?
Right. It seems like the big promise is making Web3 easier for, well, everyone else.
Exactly. Less scary, maybe. Our mission is basically to understand DAO1 Lite and see how it plans to lower those barriers.
Yeah, knocking down those initial walls that, frankly, put a lot of people off decentralized tech.
Okay, let's jump right in then. What is DAO1 Lite? Reading this FAQ, the word that keeps jumping out is simplicity. Like, forget needing MetaMask right away. Forget writing down seed phrases you might lose.
Yeah.
It says you can just sign up with an email and password.
That's pretty much the headline feature. You sign up, you get an email, you set a password, and boom, you're in.
And it creates a wallet for you, a custodial one.
Exactly, an
Yeah.
auto-generated custodial wallet.
Yeah.
So the platform holds the keys initially, much like, a standard web service.
Which completely sidesteps that whole, if I lose this paper, I lose my money anxiety.
Precisely. That fear is a huge barrier. This feels familiar, right? Email and password people get that.
It lowers the initial technical and maybe psychological burden.
Absolutely. It's trying to make the first step feel less like a leap into the unknown.
But the FAQ also mentions you can upgrade later to full self-custody.
Yeah, and that's quite clever. It's not forcing you into one model.
So you can start simple, get comfortable,
Get your feet wet, understand how it works.
and then take full control if you want to.
It caters to different comfort levels, different stages of the journey.
Okay, so that's the leap part. But what stays the same, the FAQ is quite clear that DAO1's core, decentralization, isn't changing. How does that work if the wallet is custodial at first?
That's the crucial distinction. The sign-up and initial key management are simplified, yes.
Right.
But the actual operations, the transactions, the rewards, the smart contracts, they all still happen on the blockchain. It's all recorded publicly, immutably.
So the underlying engine is still decentralized.
Exactly. All the benefits of transparency and, censorship resistance are still there. The simplification is that the user interface level, the entry point.
Not the fundamental infrastructure.
Correct.
And what about experienced users, people who already have MetaMask or other wallets?
They're not left out. The FAQ says they can still connect the way they always have.
So it's like options.
Yeah, the FAQ uses this analogy I like having two gear shifts in a car.
Ah, automatic and manual.
Exactly. You choose how you want to drive DAO1. The core platform supports both.
Okay, automatic for newbies, manual for the pros, but it's the same car.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right, I get the what now. But why is this such a focus? Why is simple onboarding seen as this massive lever for Web3 adoption? The document really hammers this point about entry barriers.
Because those barriers are real. Think about explaining seed phrases or gas fees to someone completely new to crypto. It's a lot.
It can sound incredibly complex, maybe even risky.
Totally. So if Web3 wants to go beyond the early adopters and, the tech enthusiasts, it has to be easier to get started. It needs to feel less like homework.
And the expected benefits, according to the FAQ, are things like faster user growth, more transactions.
Yeah, more platform utility, a stronger overall DAO1 ecosystem. It all flows from getting more people in the door.
It makes sense. Mass adoption needs, well, the masses. And the masses usually prefer simplicity.
Inclusion, not complexity. That seemed to be the mantra here.
The shift is framed as going from needing to be a crypto expert to just needing an email. That's a pretty stark contrast.
It really is. It changes the initial requirement dramatically.
And this idea of learning as you earn or as you participate, rather than needing a deep understanding up front.
It makes the learning curve feel less steep, less intimidating. You can actually do something right away.
So pulling back a bit, what does this mean for the wider Web3 space? DAO1 is doing this, but are there broader implications? They talk about building on-ramps to the future.
Well, yeah, I think that's the bigger picture hope. If approaches like this work, if they demonstrably bring in new users without compromising the core Web3 values,
Then other platforms might follow.
exactly, it could set a precedent. It normalizes the idea that user experience matters in Web3, maybe even more than in Web2 because the concepts are newer.
It's sort of a welcoming sign, isn't it, to the next wave of Web3 users, as the FAQ puts it.
Yeah, it's saying, hey, this space is for you too, even if you don't know what a layer 2 is yet.
And it fosters collective growth, not just for DAO1, but potentially the whole ecosystem.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
Right. More users means more innovation, more development, more mainstream acceptance.
Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive on DAO1 Lite based on this FAQ, the key takeaway seems to be a really focused effort on simplifying that first contact point for new users.
removing those initial technical hurdles, the wallet setup, the seed phrase anxiety.
But crucially, doing it while keeping the core decentralized tech underneath intact?
Right. It's about lowering the entry barrier, making it accessible, without sacrificing the principles, letting people join without needing to be crypto wizards from day one.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. Think about this. If getting started in Web3 becomes as easy as signing up for, say, a newsletter,
Just an email.
how could that unlock totally new uses for decentralized tech? Things we haven't even thought of yet, applications way beyond just crypto trading or DeFi as we know it now.
Yeah, what happens when this tech genuinely reaches everyday people for everyday things? What possibilities open up then?
Something to consider.